face into as soon as you download and play the game today here for the open beta. But the title is, should you be playing Dauntless? Yeah, guys, you should be, because I'm going to be streaming it for a couple of days. I'm going to have fun with it for a couple of days, and I'm going to be enjoying the crap out of it. I already know because I've already done videos on it. I've already streamed it, and I know you guys like it too. Got some good viewage. I played Monster Hunter. I even streamed Horizon Zero Dawn. A lot of other different monster hunting like games. I even did a top 10 Monster Hunter games. You should actually go check that out. Yeah, games like Monster Hunter where you hunt monsters. Imagine that. And we're going to be saying that a lot, or I have in the past at least, because Dauntless is a Monster Hunter game, as in it's a game where you hunt monsters, but it's also directly inspired by the series Monster Hunter. Completely, like to the point where a weapon is a literal clone of another weapon inside of that game, and you're going to definitely see and feel it. There's definitely some changes though. Some changes are basically like content completely missing, and then there's some stuff that's been added a little bit. But yeah, that's going to be the sort of rhyme or poetry with this video, is firstly the speed bump that you have to get over in order to really enjoy the game. So yeah, we'll talk about that real quick. Basically, guys, I think that there's not going to be that much content in the game. Now, I know it's open beta and they changed some things. They added content. I can't wait to see that. I will be streaming that at twitch.tv/Skylint. Please join me. Links in the description. Comment. Please join, follow. That's where I'm going to be streaming from now on. I'm going to be playing with you guys. I'm going to enjoy myself, but there's only so much content. It's early access, and a lot of people are going to say that, but the comparisons to so many different other Monster Hunter games, and especially, man, the Big Daddy Monster Hunter World, which is coming to PC soon, no way in hell is Dauntless going to actually really properly compete. The thing is if you like monster hunting games, you probably played all of them. From Horizon Zero Dawn, Dark Souls, Bloodborne, stuff like that. All the way to the actual kind of cloney games. You probably even played Dragon Project on mobile devices, and if you haven't, you probably should. It's actually kind of cool. There's people who like monster hunting games, and especially these melee combat games. We kind of tend to play all of these games. We love having these really intense, difficult, challenging bosses that we overcome, especially if they're giant freaking monsters. We love climbing the mountain. Also, a shout out to the iconography of Dauntless. I don't know if you guys noticed, but it's actually a monster that's in the shape of a mountain. That is just so fucking hype. Anyways, Dauntless isn't quite dauntless. It is quite a daunting task what they're trying to do, what they're going up against, but I think they can overcome it. It's just going to take a lot longer than maybe you're ready for. The content in the game is, in comparison to other titles, non-existent. But then again, a lot of free-to-play games, when they first began, started out just like this. Warframe was exactly the same. It basically had no content. Debatably even less content, actually. So Dauntless has just like a handful of weapons, literally like 5 weapons. It's got a handful of armors, 6, 7, I don't know, a few. And it's got a couple, a dozen behemoths. And a lot of them kind of have maybe some similar move sets, but I think they're going to expand on that. And I think that once you play in the harder difficulties and you get up there to, especially the new behemoths, obviously, like the newer ones, the newer, bigger ones, things can totally change. So I haven't played all the behemoths on like the hardest difficulty, apparently, I guess. The game doesn't really explain itself so well. Again, early access. And I haven't acquired everything in the game. I haven't had all the customization. You can slot like little orbs and glyphs. It barely changes your gameplay. Armor overall barely changes your gameplay. But there is something there. There's an idea there, I guess. There's a concept. In the end, though, I didn't get to do all the content that I wanted to with my first impression, and I got called out for that, definitely. But still, it's really repetitive, even though I still didn't do everything, I guess, technically. And I hope it's not too repetitive to actually get to the larger monster. There's one monster I didn't fight. I think I fought everything except 1 or 2 monsters. But to get to them, you're going to be fighting the same monsters over and over and over and over again. So that's another speed bump. There's not much content, and yet it's also a grindy game. So like, not only is it grindy that you'll be fighting the same monsters, just like, any game like this, like Horizon Zero Dawn, even, like, you will be fighting the same stuff over and over again. Like, it's going to happen, even in a linear story progression game. But in this game, which has no story, has no real proper playable progression, I would want to say, it's kind of just stats being slapped on you. Even in this game, it's going to be really grindy. Oh man, it's going to be tuned up to 11, right? Because there isn't that much content. So what else do you have to do? I think it's kind of like, I don't know, poetic in a way that the game is about little tiny floating islands. But yeah, that's all there is to the game. It's like their foundation is really tiny little floaty island. Of course, the potential is infinite. I mean, they could literally have like Leviathan behemoths floating around the islands as you use siege machines to attack them. That's romantic. That's a dream that would be amazing. But, is that going to happen? When is that going to happen? Is this game going to pull a Warframe? Because Warframe was the exact same way. You had like little floating space stations that just kind of randomly, procedurally generated, of course, and you just fought the same stuff over and over again, to grind it up. But now look what the game has turned into. Basically that, but a whole lot more at the same time, right? So Dauntless can only go up from here, but that's also the downside. Is this really the start that they want? No, it's early access. It's not a full launch. Please keep that in mind. So that's the speed bump. Everything can only go up from here. And the starting point may not be enough for some people. You might just want to get Monster Hunter World or just wait for Monster Hunter World because, frankly, Yeah, it's freaking awesome, man. You know, you go play some other games. Now, if you don't have a PS4, you can't play Horizon Zero Dawn or a lot of other games. Dude, I did a top 10. There's actually some good monster hunting games. Some you might be surprised about, and I can even suggest more that I actually found. Some indie titles. You know, what about Titan Souls? Titan Souls is pretty cool, right? And there's a few more I could talk about. But yeah, man, Dauntless is still actually, I think, filling out a nice niche. I definitely think so. Now, there are some MMOs that can be kind of monster huntery, but in terms of really hardcore, dedicated, like, you know, 4-player party jumping on a big boss that has really interesting action combat, you might debate and say Terra to an extent, but in the end, like, Dauntless is actually pretty good. Even in a lot of the vanilla cases, it still at least feels really good. You know, even like the early game Nasher and stuff like that, like when you jump in, especially if it's your first like monster hunting game, you're gonna have some fun. And here I want to talk about the real true future and potential of this game that I think is going to be a reality very soon and kind of a reality now. So when you get into Dauntless, you know, immediately you say, okay, floating islands. And the monsters kind of have these weird patterns. They're kind of magical-y in terms of their attacks. Their attack patterns is what I'm talking about. Their skill set is, I want to say, fantasy. I mean, this is fantasy, right? Technically, the whole Aether thing is kind of wibbly-wobbly. There's kind of some steampunk or mist-punky stuff going on, but basically, these monsters are like raid bosses to an extent. The newer ones, I have to say. Starting from like the lava turtle thing and moving forward to the bigger ones, you're going to get more of that like MMO raid-style boss encounters, and I think that's the direction Dauntless needs to go in. We need way bigger monsters, literal behemoths, leviathans, zeets, you know, all sorts of things like that from mythology. You know, take inspiration from that. And in the lore, actually, apparently there's stuff like that, but we'll see. I want to see bigger and better stuff. And if you actually look, and people called me out, actually, my first impression, because I didn't play like the newest, biggest boss. And they said, oh, actually, that newest thing is like super cool. It's totally what you're saying should be in the game. And okay, yeah, I saw the videos and I have to agree. That is what I want in the game. So a lot of the monsters starting out is kind of like Monster Hunter monsters, where they're more physical. They might roll around and stuff, use their tail more, and they're kind of less magical. And I know Monster Hunter can also get more magical. And there's other, you know, Horizon Zero Dawn has freaking laser beams and shit, right? So yeah, there's other Monster Hunter games that do it bigger and better. And Monster Hunter itself can do that too, you know, dragons breathing fire. But Dauntless can go a bit above and beyond. An example, there's a monster that has like a gravity thing and it can throw rocks around. So the whole Aether element is like true magic, and they can really just kind of bullshit anything from there. You know, they have elemental things, but then of course they have gravity wibbly wobbly. They can go any big size, any giant size. They can do anything, and it can really feel like an MMO raid. So that's one kind of aspect that a lot of these action RPGs are missing. I would have to say, especially in games like Bloodborne or maybe even debatably Monster Hunter, there's some monsters that are definitely big and they feel cool, but I think Dauntless could potentially do it bigger and better, and hopefully they have the weapons and tools to kind of match that. And I think they will, because the newest weapon, the War Pike, actually kind of creates this weakness on the enemy. I don't know if you really consider it a debuff, but yeah, I'll say it's a debuff weapon. That's actually interesting. So the War Pike pierces the armor of the monster, the hide of the monster, and then other players who actually hit that wound will do extra damage. So you want to make sure you hit it on the special parts, you know, the head and the tail. You want to make sure you actually get in there and create those wounds for other players. So when they hit the head and the tail, they do stupid amounts of damage. So you're kind of a supporty type of character. You also build charge, and you can pretty regularly stagger monsters whenever they do their charge attacks. So overall, you are a DPS, but you're supportive, and you're supportive in a unique way that isn't like the hammer inside of Monster Hunter. So having unique DPS roles is something that we normally don't see in MMOs. So let's take the MMO monster design, but then keep the sort of role and weapon mechanics of action RPGs and combine those, and that would make a really interesting dynamic for Dauntless, which we generally don't see. In MMOs, generally you just have flat roles, kind of boring. And in action RPGs, you generally have very dynamic roles. You know, you have very interesting, weird stuff that you can do, from single player games and of course to Monster Hunter, where you have all sorts of different, you know, different DPS. You have piercing DPS, you have supporty DPS and like healing and buffing, and you have like the smashing DPS that generally does CC. You have the dude that rides around rodeos. So there's lots of different cool stuff that you can do there, but I think Dauntless has the potential to really force the cooperation. And you do actually see that in-game as well. The newer monsters, the newer weapon, as well as the challenge modes, which forces multi-monsters on you, which is something that is super debatable in a lot of action RPGs. I know people felt really weird about Dark Souls 2 doing that, where you just get thrown like multiple monsters. Holy shit, Horizon Zero Dawn did that. And single player, it can seem as cheesy, and it fucking is. And it's a really cheap way to make a game challenging, but in a cooperative game, I'm actually really hungry for that. I think that'd be really cool, because even in MMOs, generally you don't fight more than just one boss at a time. So Dauntless seems like it's from players who are fans of this kind of archetype of gameplay, where yeah, they played Monster Hunter and they probably play MMOs. In fact, a lot of you guys are the same way. You play a bunch of just different online RPGs, MMORPG, action RPG, or otherwise. So I think this game is a game that's made by players and for players. It's just, when you get into the game, there's not much content. But I'm telling you guys, there's little specks here and there of hope for a really freaking awesome game. I don't think that this is going to be a gigantic I don't think that this is going to be anything less, actually, than the next Warframe. Or I want to believe that. We'll see when Monster Hunter World comes out and see what content has come out since then, but it really does have that potential, and I'm gonna stake, you know, a lot of my pride on, I think it's gonna be there. Of course, I'm completely planning to tear this game to shreds. Depending on the cash shop, depending on the optimization, depending on so many things, I will, because that's my gimmick here. And hopefully you guys see that over at twitch.tv/Skylint. But if it can survive my criticism, when I'm openly admitting that I'm going to criticize it harder than anybody on this platform, then it's definitely worth playing continuously. But for now, I have to say, from what I've played and what I'm seeing, it's definitely worth playing today. It's open, it's free, you should be checking it out, and there's definitely content that will make you smile, I promise. Thanks for watching, guys. I had a lot to say. Hopefully I didn't sound stupid or anything. I try to be a little bit educated, but I do rant these out, and it's a little early in the morning, so I'm going to upload this. Hopefully you guys find this in a timely manner so that you can check out the stream. Again, twitch.tv/Skylint over at Twitch. Yes, I'm doing that a lot, so no more YouTube. YouTube's been kind of cancer, but hopefully you guys follow me on Twitch. I'd really appreciate it, and much love. Hope you guys have fun, and please join me, actually, in Dauntless. They're going to be cool. Yeah, we'll party up, and we'll co-op, and...